yeah, it is 3, so we'll go ahead and just put up the agenda screen so folks are able to make it in the call. So we have what wasn't going to be a large agenda, but some things have popped up that I thought were going to be pertinent to share. So we have, starting off with us, an overview of an exciting an event and opportunity at the Charlotte Museum of History this October. I'm going to go into kind of an overview of city and county tax and service fee increases. There is a lot happening, and it hasn't all been really like condensed in a way that I think is resident or taxpayer friendly to understand the combined costs of changes that have happened. I'm going to give some brief housing updates, let people know about an event that we have coming up on August 7th that we would very much like to be a community event. Request for support for our small business community, and then we will have an open forum. We are a little bit light, which is fine, but I'm gonna go ahead. Kendall, are you on the call?
I am.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
Good. I'm gonna let you go ahead and kick us off here.
Sounds good. So, hello everyone.
Hey.
I don't actually think I know probably anyone on here. I might have met you in passing, but something crazy. I'm Kendall McGeorge. I'm the public programs manager at the Charlotte Museum of History, and we have this really fun festival called Eastside Soul that's coming up on October 11th. Um, it's kind of gonna be, so it's gonna be a free community festival for everyone in East Charlotte, really highlighting the cultural diversity of the area. Um, if any of you have ever been to our African American Heritage Festival in February, it's kind of a take on that, but really focusing just on the east side. So for that festival in February, we get over 1,100 people out here every single year. So we're hoping that we get a pretty good crowd for this.
Mhm.
But there will be music, food, and just highlighting and celebrating the neighborhood. Um, It'll be October 11th from 11 to 5, free to attend. I'm looking into how we can get food trucks to be free for people, what the cost of that's going to be.
Mm.
Haven't heard anything back yet, but it's on the list to do. But really, what I wanted to bring up to this group is we're looking for people to participate. So that's tables, which would be like community organizations, businesses. There will be a vendor fee, but we can discuss that if you're interested in doing it. History groups, things like that, as well as performers, so dancers, singers, poets, speakers, artists, storytelling. We want workshops, so if anyone has ideas for workshops, that would be great. And then, of course, volunteers. There's only 10 people on staff at the museum, and with the size of the festival we want, we're gonna need more help. So probably 40-ish volunteers throughout the day. Um, I think one thing that I would like to know, I am not a resident of the East Side. I spend every day here, but I don't live here. So I kind of want to know, like, those that do live here, what would you want at this festival? We can talk about that on here, or we can bring it offline. You can email me. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have. I know we talked about 10 minutes, Greg.
It's okay. This is, I
Figured
mean,
I
this
would
is your
just do an
first.
overview. We'll make it
No,
chill.
that is perfect. It's the purpose of these meetings, just do a very quick and formal pop in. So when we send the meeting minutes after this, I'll make sure that your email is
Perfect.
directly there for folks to follow up with you guys, with you one on one.
Perfect.
But I'm very excited about this. I think this is going to be an awesome opportunity
I
for,
think it'll be cool.
yeah, for community collaboration, something specifically dedicated to our side of town. Um, but yeah, does anybody have any comments or questions for Kendall?
And I can throw the application for being a vendor if you like are interested in doing that. I can throw that into the chat
Please do
as
that.
well.
Yeah, please do so. Mhm.
Will there be activities for seniors or anything just centered around seniors? We're the forgotten group.
I'm happy to do something for seniors. So pretty much we're just starting planning. Our May has been really insane with our new exhibit that just opened. So pretty much everything is on the table right now.
Kendall, hi, this is Gerald. Um, are any civic engagement uh, vending allowed at this event? Since we're going to be coming up on, election, election in November, is there a possibility for groups to come out and encourage voter registration, voter literacy?
Yeah, so voter registration and literacy is great. It's more if it's like someone campaigning. We couldn't have that just since we're a nonprofit. That's not
Right.
allowed for us. But if you want to come out and register people to vote, I'm always up for that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Joanne?
Yeah, I guess I'm up here looking at the symbol for Eastland Mall and wondering will there be a way to intersect the 50 years
Yes.
of the mall at this kind of event, because I'm thinking there will be people who may have moved away from the east side but would come back because of that kind of, and then we could have like line dances or something. I don't know, roller skating. But thank you. That was appealing.
Yeah, so
That would be
Kendall and I
awesome.
discussed a little bit about that yesterday, Joanne. So actually, I need a reloop on that. We're going to launch that initiative in end of July. We're actually going to start that on the anniversary itself, just because timing has been crazy on July 30th. But it's something that we're going to want to continue throughout the whole rest of the year. And I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to wheel the sign back from our office probably to the museum, Kendall, just for this event.
I
I know
mean,
I'm gonna
I
have to,
think
and
that would be great. We loved
yeah,
having it.
I'm happy to do that for this event. I'm gonna have to rope somebody else into helping me carry that thing down Shamrock, which is fine. I'll figure it out. Not a problem. But yes, Joanne, excellent point.
You and Jordan can do it again.
I know I tricked him. I tricked him last time. We're going for a meeting at the museum, Jordan. We're going to carry the sign down Shamrock.
It'll be
Uh,
so fun. I
yeah.
know, yeah, I can talk to Nolan about like if we wanted to put the sign somewhere in the museum. Um, for that day, if we wanted to do that, I can talk to Nolan and Kyle about
Yeah.
it.
Just let me know. It's no thing.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yep.
Cool. Any other questions for Kendall? Alrighty. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Uh, all right, guys. So the day that is not, hold on. Let me get this. All right, so this is going to be very dense. I just wanted to do this and put this together for everybody in a way that is sourced, that has accurate information, so you can see what it is that the county and the city have been doing, what's going on with the sales tax, and what all of these things combined are going to cost the average Mecklenburg County resident. I don't have data to break this down to the east side. I just did this afternoon. But if you were not aware, last week, Mecklenburg County approved its operating budget for the next fiscal year, which begins July 1st. That budget is $2.5 billion. And in that budget, there is a 0.96%, excuse me, 0.96 cent property tax increase, which for a median home, which is now $377,000 in Mecklenburg County, that would mean an increase of $36.19 per year. So that is one piece. There were a significant number of cuts to nonprofit organizations as well. Next piece is city budget. This was approved Monday night. So the city budget was $3.6 billion. And I'm going to review all these numbers at the end. And I'm going to send the presentation. So I know I'm probably going to go quick, but it'll all be relooped. So property tax is staying the same from the city. They've been saying this for a couple of years now. Like this year was the iffy year that they might have had to raise it, but it seems like almost a certainty next year city property tax will be raised. This year, water and sewer fee is increasing roughly 7% a month, which is $5.47 per month. Stormwater service fee is increasing 67 cents a month, and solid waste fee is increasing by 49 cents a month, right? So while no property tax increase on the city, fee increases are totaling up to be, and we'll get to that in a second, I'll get the final numbers. So transit tax, which we've talked about a lot, right? So I'm just breaking this down for myself to make sure that I don't lose track. County passed the budget last week, property tax increase. City passed their budget 2 days ago, fee increase. Then we have the transit tax, right? The transit tax has been what we've been talking about for almost a year now at this point, which is a comprehensive review and overview of how we do transportation in Mecklenburg County. So since the last time we met, the governing body, Metro Transit Commission, voted on staff's recommendation, which they came here to present a couple months ago. And that was scenario 1. So that means bus improvements across the board, micro transit being part of that bus improvement. But everybody, the big talking point over the past year has been rail. The Silver Line would only extend on Independence to Bowplex, Bojangles Coliseum. And the Gold Line down Central Avenue, the streetcar, would be extended under this plan to Eastland. Now, there's a lot going on with this in terms of the timelines for these projects, all that stuff. We'll re-loop as we get closer. But still, there is no guarantee that Mecklenburg County voters will be able to vote on this. That has to come from the state, and that's been very up in the air if the General Assembly will allow Mecklenburg County to put it on the ballot. This morning, the House Transportation Committee did pass a new bill that would allow this to move on to the next step. And that bill was Tricia Cotham's, and it was a revised bill from what she'd originally submitted, sticking essentially with the same 40-40-20 sales tax breakdown. So 40% could go to rail, 40% can go to roads, and 20% can go to bus. So a lot going on in the moment, but I wanted to give the context breakdown, and CATS is anticipating adjusting its fare policy in the next few months. I'm gonna take a pause there for a minute. So what that means with the transit tax is today's action moved us a step closer to it being on the ballot. I mean, it still has to get through the House, and it still has to get passed, and then it still has to get on the ballot and approved by voters, and that would be essentially in November. But today was the first concrete action that's been taken by Raleigh, with the exception of bills being filed. The Transportation Committee actually unanimously approved to move it out of committee. Any questions on that? I could try to answer. I know Representative Lopez is still up there right now dealing with it. Okay. Now let's put all of this together. Let's put county budget increase, property tax increase, city fee increases, and potential transit tax all together. What does this look like? So, city and county approved budgets. This is top line right here. 100% this is happening. There is an average increase as of what's happened in the last week of $115.75 per year to the average Mecklenburg County homeowner that owns the median home. That starts July 1st. Should the transit tax be approved, the median county household would see an increase of $283 annually in sales tax expenditures. This was numbers that the city of Matthews hired a consultant to run county numbers earlier this year. I've been asking to get a more detailed breakdown about what does that look like, what does that percentage look like, zip code to zip code, so we can see who is really carrying the burden on percentage of income for what that sales tax will look like. So some other changes to note that I wanted to bring up here that have been since 2023. So as most in this room know, property reappraisals were done by the county in 2023. That caused 85% of homeowners to see an increase, with the lowest third bearing the most burden, roughly a $223 annual increase. It's actually supposed to be, median, 1/3. 2024, so last year the county budget had a 1-cent property tax increase as well, which was $38. And you guys remember 2 years ago, voters approved a school bond tax increase that is still really yet to hit in full form. it was supposed to hit in 3 increments, 1 cent each year, 2025, 2028, 2029, for a total boost of $120 annually by 2029. So a lot of numbers, a lot of data. Let me break it down. Here's the total cost right now of if a 1 cent sales tax is put on the ballot and approved by voters this year. The median household in Mecklenburg County will have seen their taxes and fees increase by $779 since 2023. And I gotta really go back and disaggregate a little bit more, but I put this together this afternoon because I feel like this forum is an important place to share information on what is actually happening in local government. But the number for the sales tax burden on residents has not been shared by CATS at all, has not been shared by the city, has not been shared by the county. So as we have right now in Mecklenburg County, you know, crisis with housing, crisis with homelessness, we have macroeconomic factors, we have inflation as well. Really wanted to put a number on this. So I know this is a ton of information overload. When I send the follow-up, I will do a better job breaking it down. But any comments or questions at this point?
Yes, sir. This is Valerie. I'm sorry. How you doing?
Good.
So what can we do about this? This is ridiculous. Seven, almost $1,000 more increase in taxes. Water and sewer. It's already going through the roof. What can we do?
Well, if the sales tax does get put on the ballot, right? I mean, that's going to be up to voters if they want to say, hey, we're going to lock in for 30 years to pay a cent more on every dollar that we spend in Mecklenburg County, which, again, based off Matthews, who's been the only government body to run those numbers and put them publicly. So if there's an elected official from the county or the city that wants to correct me on that when it comes up, I'm not saying on this call, please feel free to, I hope they can release those numbers. But if that is the concern, I mean, the sales tax is either an up or a down. Voters have that control in their hands, right? So already existing tax burdens though, so you take that 283, subtract it from the 779, and that's already been what has been the cost of increased burden. So let me see, what is that? 779.75 minus roughly 283. So we've already seen $496 of an increase. That's through property taxes and fees. Like I said, in the last week alone, $115 roughly. And those are directly from, I mean, that's directly from the city's and the county's budget. Those are direct lines pulled. But another option would be, you know, we have, and I'll get to this in a second, we do have municipal primaries and municipal elections this year. So every city council seat and mayoral seat are up for re-election, and those primaries are in September with the general election being in November. I hope that somewhat answered your question. I'm sorry. I wish there was, like, you know, more that we could do at this point.
You know, Greg, I just would like to make a comment here, and that is because it hasn't really been put together by government, that's something that we should actually, you know, as individuals, you know, amplify back.
Thank you. That is a very good, concrete, solid action item. Yeah, that I would recommend, and I'll put that in writing too. Can we get an actual breakdown of what the tax and fees increase collectively have been? And I think it was, and the reason I wanted to put in that 2023 this year, I think that was important because those property tax reappraisals were significant. I mean, they were very significant. And again, right now, I'm not putting a good or bad value judgment on this show. I just wanted to present it as objectively as possible. But I mean, this is the reality. I mean, this is a reality where we're at right now. So Maureen, I think that is an excellent, I think that's an excellent suggestion. I wish that would have been something that were done at the Eastside Summit that our elected officials had recently. Any other comments on this? Questions? I mean, we have, I think, 5 more minutes for discussion on this item. Let me see. I'm sorry. Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty, we're gonna move forward. But again, I will send in the follow-up this presentation so y'all can see it. And again, it's all of the data is going to be cited explicitly from sources. So, all right, I wanted to give, this is a nice segue into a housing update. You know, I think we've been trying to do a decent job of giving development updates to this group about what's going on. Let me make this large. So this week as well, Charlotte City Council unanimously voted against spending $6 million that staff recommended them to spend on an income restricted apartment complex that would be new for seniors. This would have created 120 senior apartments, income restricted, across the street from in Coventry Woods neighborhood, but on Sharon Amity. This was something that staff had proposed as a tranche of projects that were made possible because voters last year, we voted in favor as a county of approving the Housing Trust Fund bond, which put another $100 million into play for housing projects. This specific project was Councilmember Molina, who's the district rep, asked for it to be deferred, I think, a couple times for discussion. So further community engagement could be had on this issue, but ultimately decided on Monday and told constituents Sunday that she would be voting against it and asking all of her colleagues to do so as well. So that is what happened. I will let you guys know, having spoken to the developer directly multiple times, speaking and hearing from neighbors, it was very interesting to see how this kind of project in opposition unfolded. Like, to give you guys a little bit of context, Charlotte East as an organization does not get involved in neighborhood specific rezonings or housing developments because, you know, it's the people that live directly there, the ones that are most impacted. So if we're asked to be brought in, we get involved. But the project was originally presented and neighbors found out about it on a Friday before it was going to be presented on a Monday in April. Per the developer, they had been trying to get in touch with the district representative since January, and the district representative did not get back to them until that Friday when constituents started calling, seeing it on the agenda, saying, what is going on here? So 2 rounds of community engagement were held, one which was sponsored at the Charlotte Museum of History by the developer themselves. They're based out of Knoxville. And then another one was held separately at Simmons YMCA. You know, it was interesting. I was at the second meeting. Residents were a little bit concerned about how the parking would function. They were concerned about, and this is not a blanket of everybody in Coventry Woods. There were some folks who voiced support of this just with some tweaks or amendments. There was concern about the medical practice that was going to be going in here for seniors as well. There was concern about the age range for seniors, that it was 55 plus, even though that's set at the state. Some wanted it higher, and a lot of concerns about parking in general. So it was denied. So $6 million that was going to be earmarked for senior affordable housing was unanimously denied. Now, what I will say about that specific lot, anyone can come in and build a bigger residential development at this point. They don't have to get city dollars. The only thing that was denied was the use of city dollars to fund the project. So the way that it's already zoned allows for its N2B, which allows significant residential density. So if somebody with their own private capital wanted to come into the same space today and buy it and say, hey, we're going to build, I forget what the max unit is for N2B, but it would be more units than the 120 that just got denied. So That happened on Monday. Late last month, it was announced in April that some of the single family homes at Eastland Yards are going to be selling for $500,000 starting. So I think that's an interesting juxtaposition to those two projects that are a little bit over a mile away from each other. And then I did want to add, and I'll share this. We have updated, Charlotte East has updated our complete list of projects in our area that's receiving either state or city dollars to subsidize housing. The 5 that are bolded, Ryan's Way, Sharon Point, Albemarle Landing, Woodford Estates, and Curry Pond, have been approved this year alone. That's either through the use of bridge loans, rezonings, or housing trust fund dollars. So right now in the Eastland area, which you can see what we define as, so that's, largely Eastway, Plaza, W.T. Harris, and Independence, we have, whatever this is, roughly 20 unique housing projects that are comprise 2,500 units that are receiving taxpayer dollars for subsidized housing. Any comments or questions on the housing front? Sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing the audience here. Okay. I know this is a dense information meeting, y'all, but a lot is happening, and I think this is a good forum to share this information with folks. So this project, so the Coventry Woods project, the housing dollars for it is completely dead. There's no revisiting that one.
All right, Greg, I'm going to say something again.
Sure, go ahead, please.
So, when we look at this and we look at what kind of potential we have for the increase of transportation options, it's concerning. It's big concern, and the development of Eastland. This area is going to become so much more dense than it currently is. And, the Gold Line, somehow or another, is going to be the option to get people to the activities at Eastland. And just the number of people that are in that community and across our very large community, my concern is very much so about the density and transportation.
Mine too. For those who aren't familiar, Eastland is expected to bring in 1.1 million new people to the site just from the economic activity alone of that sports complex by 2028. So on top of the housing, which granted, I think like 50% of these units that you see that are listed were like NOAA existing, but still the point still remains, the density is already there, and density is going to continue to increase. And we're realistically looking at way more than 10 years until the gold mine gets going. So.
And not to mention another 10 for other possibilities, so 20 years to do something other than what's in that plan right now.
Yeah. Is Carolyn? I think Carolyn is on the call. Carolyn, what's the timeline? I know you know this. What's the timeline for the micro transit for our area?
The only micro transit zone that is in the plan right now is for the far east 485 Summer Hickory Grove to W.T. Harris, and you're looking at maybe 15 years out by the time it gets, even though Katz will tell you that day one, if it's passed, that it's going to be within 5 years for the micro transit zones. It's already started up Huntersville in that area. It'll go to Derrida, Graham, Beatty's Ford before it ever comes out.
All
and
right.
again, the east side's only getting it at the far east near I-485. Nowhere else in East Charlotte right now.
Thank you. So this is going on, and I wanted to segue as well. And a more formal ask is going to be coming, but we are going to hold a community-wide District 5 Charlotte City Council Candidates Forum on Thursday, August 7th. Charlotte East used to do candidate meet and greets years back, pre-COVID, and it's not something that we have done recently. But I think given the level of a lot of the things that I just discussed, as well as other factors in the community, we felt that it was prudent, appropriate, and necessary this year to kind of jump back into that space of allowing individuals to meet, connect, hear from the folks that are vying to represent them on city council. So we have booked the date and the venue. It will be at SMS Catering in the district off of Eastway, off of Norland, on August 7th. What I'm asking for now, and a more concrete ask will be coming on Monday when I put together the flyer. We're asking for community partners to co-sponsor. Now that doesn't look like financial sponsoring. It just doesn't. We're not asking for that. But the parameters around co-sponsoring will be, allow us to use your neighborhood nonprofits logo on the flyer because on the marketing material. Support us as we develop the questions for this forum. And also we are going to have there's a separate room in here set aside for community partners to table. With information about their organization, social services, whatever it will be. We're not going to have external parties like cats or those folks come and we want to make this very internal and community led, and East Charlotte specific led. So again, a more formal request will be coming, but what we're going to ask, really, we don't want this to be a Charlotte East event. We want this to be an East Side event that's shared with everybody because we all have the stake in this. But would love to get as many neighborhoods as possible to participate as co-sponsors. And, like I said, what that looks like is, committing to bring, I'll figure it out, but like 5 individuals from the neighborhood, 5 to 10 from the neighborhood to the event, and allow us to put your branding on marketing materials. And we also believe that, with a more robust presence of folks that are collectively putting this together, it'll make it a much more efficient and representative event, and make it a little bit more difficult for folks that might not want to come to ensure that they show up. So, any comments? Oh, and I did realize, I'm sorry, JD, I didn't realize you were on the call. So we do have someone who has announced their candidacy for District 5 on the call, JD Maswera. So JD, thank you for joining us this afternoon. So I know this is news to you, so thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. And looking forward to meeting everyone then, if I haven't met you already.
Wonderful. All right, last thing, and again, this is something very, last thing on my end before we open it up to open forum. As I'm sure many of you all know, our small businesses are really struggling. And it's not just our immigrant-led businesses, but it's businesses across the board. And it's not just Eastside businesses, it's collectively. There are macroeconomic things going on, there are local things going on. But the reason that I share this information today, like as you all are probably aware, we're doing a lot of work with small business development, organizing the small business community around Eastland in this footprint. We've been working for 6 weeks, inventorying every single commercial property in this area. Helen, we have not even sent it out yet. So there are no candidates at this point. We only know JD's the only one that's announced his candidacy. But filing ends and begins in July. So we what we're asking folks to do as we go through this process of small business development. Oh, and Gerald, I'm sorry, I don't know, but the invitation will be sent out to everybody on both sides of the aisle and independents if they get enough signatures to be on the ballot. Absolutely. So, so the small business community right now, and I'll use Manolo as an example because he spoke to WSOC about this last week. And he stated this publicly. His year-over-year numbers at this point are down. Year-to-year numbers are down 40% for people patronizing his business. And those of you who know Manolo is very much a gatekeeper in a very positive way to a lot of our international businesses. And he is someone who has accepted and welcomed so many folks to come in and make Manolo's Bakery a hub, a welcoming hub, regardless of background. A lot of our other smaller businesses on the corridor do not have that level of gusto at this point, I would say, to really market and reach out the existing community to welcome folks into the space. So that 40% number that he has publicly said about his own business is significantly higher for many of our other businesses. I've listed, because someone at a county commissioner asked me about some businesses to support that were lesser known, that they could drive folks out to. I'm not saying that these are my favorite restaurants because I can't publicly have favorites by any means, but these are folks that I know have been either new businesses or some existing staples that are lesser known, I would say, like in day-to-day conversation to folks throughout the district about, hey, these are great places to stop and to check out. I'll say, Taqueria Express. I'll give an example. If you guys don't know, it's the standalone building next to the Bojangles on Albemarle Road at W.T. Harris and Lawyers. So I went in there, this was like 2 weeks ago, like 6:30, and I go there pretty frequently. And it's usually got 20 to 30 folks dinner time. It was me and one other individual in the restaurant, and I was talking to the servers, and they're like, no, it's been bad. And a lot of this is being attributed, and rightfully so, to the increased immigration enforcement activity that's been occurring in our community, like we discussed at last month's meeting. This has created, the concentration of activity has created significant fear for folks to come out to patronize businesses. And I'm not saying this just blindly, like these are conversations that we've been having almost daily. We spoke with somebody who's a nightclub owner and said, since the raids have been happening, nightclubs across the country have been hotspots for raids. They've said that businesses is almost completely dead. So I say that to say, here's some suggestions, some recommendations for places to check out. Some of them you may be familiar with, some of them you may not. I will say both of the businesses in the second category, the dessert category, are new. They've opened this year. They're both great. So if you guys just want a sweet treat and don't want to, go for a full sit-down meal, these are excellent places to do it. So yeah. And with that said, obviously the whole business ecosystem needs support without question, but I definitely wanted to pinpoint some of these businesses today. Any comments or questions on these? Okay, wonderful. Sorry, I feel like I've been talking at you guys for the whole meeting today, which isn't what I usually like to do. All right, open forum. Is there anything anybody else would like to share, lift up? Joanne, I know you guys actually, do you mind sharing about the training?
Yeah, I'll be glad to. And you keep on asking for comments, and it's just like, oh,
It's
God.
heavy. It's a lot. We got a lot going on, but I think this is a.
Well, no, it's just, what's the message that we're being given? Anyway, in light of the very last topic that we just brought up, Galilee is hosting on Tuesday, the 17th, from 10 to 12, a conversation about know your rights. And it says for yourself and for your neighbor. And so it's about ice, but it's really about being a better neighbor. And it's free to the community, and it's about raising awareness. And it's being presented by Attorney Jamila Espinoza. And the thing, and I experienced the first one that she did, that a lot of people think that when you come in there, it's going to be about politics and partisans, and it's about knowing what's going on next door. That, and I really give her credit for that, because that caught some of the participants that were there that probably thought that they would not be impacted by this. She kind of shifted that paradigm greatly. So I would really, if you are interested in coming, if you want to hear it, if you want to support people, please come to Galilee. I'll put our phone number in the message thing. Just call to RSVP. But we're going to have one this coming Tuesday the 17th from 10 to 12 noon in our flag hall. And there'll be some, refreshments and water there. Okay. So, yeah, thank you for letting me bring that up.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Emily sent me the details too, so when I send the follow-up, I'll share that information. Thank you all for hosting that. Any other comments, things that you would like to lift up that your organizations are doing, community highlights?
I had something. Jumping Dreams will be hosting summer camp starting on the 16th, Monday. The 6-week summer camp at Weeping Willow AME Zion Church. And Greg, either I or Angelica will shoot you a flyer if you could
Yeah.
post that.
Yeah. Have they set a cost for that?
I think $95 a week.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great if one of y'all could shoot me that, because I think I'll probably send out the minutes a little bit later this week. Thank you for sharing that. Anything, well, actually, on that same note, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Boys and Girls Club. This is just a heads up. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Charlotte is getting much more active and reorganized. The former COO of the national organization is now serving as the interim director for the Charlotte branch. And we had lunch a few days ago. If you guys don't know, they used to be in Charlotte housed under the Salvation Army, but that affiliation is sunsetted. The Milton Road Boys and Girls Club, they are vacating that building, the Salvation Army, and attempting to move on from it. And very hopeful that the Boys and Girls Club in its new iteration will be able to repurpose that building, be able to purchase it, and be able to provide some much needed youth programming for Milton Road. So that's a very positive that I'm hoping comes to fruition. Anything else?
I wanted to quickly plug that it is Caribbean Heritage Month. And we do have 2 Caribbean restaurants in East Charlotte. We have Miss Diddy's Kitchen and Island Flavors 2. So talking about, kind of what Greg was saying and supporting businesses. I just sent the links to those 2 businesses. So go support for Caribbean Heritage Month.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and if you guys haven't been to Miss Didi's yet, they opened a couple months ago at the intersection of Eastwood and Plaza. So, did you end up going, Venetia?
Yeah, it was good.
Good. And if y'all want a cheap, quick snack in the middle of the day too, their beef patties, really good, and their juice is phenomenal. But thanks for plugging those, JD. All right, y'all. Well, you have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, and we will be in touch soon with the minutes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks.
Thanks, bye.